On the bench in front of me here we have a 4-way multiple LNB holder. It's suitable to be used with a smart 110 centimeter satellite dish and some other dishes. The dependent factor is the width of the arm. This is the little fixture that we use for connecting this LNB holder onto a satellite dish. So this is specifically designed for the smart dish, but some other dishes may be compatible with it. So basically the idea of why would we ever use a 4-way LNB holder? Well, first of all, to explain, it's not an alternative to a quad LNB. If you want to run the same signal to 4 satellite receivers, always simply use a quad LNB. It's much simpler and cheaper to do it that way. With this particular setup, what we're trying to do is we have the option of picking up signal from up to 4 different satellites with a single satellite dish, and running them normally into something like a DiSEC switch. So we see it in front of me here, which will have maybe 4 feeds in from LNB 1, 2, 3 and 4, and run a single feed out to a DiSEC enabled satellite receiver. And what we can do then is we can switch between the 4 satellite receivers seamlessly. So the big advantage, of course, of it is you don't need a motorized system and you don't need multiple dishes, and you can pull in the various channels onto a single box. Now, just to give a quick overview of actually installing one of these, what I have in front of me here is 2 sample satellite dishes. So on the right hand side we have a smart 80 centimeter satellite dish. It has, we'll say, a 2-way LNB holder, and there's a 3-way version of this. So what we can do here is we can actually just mount an LNB, a second LNB here, and indeed a third one here, and pick them all up. The more LNBs we mount, it probably becomes less and less attractive to have the whole weight of the LNBs being mounted off the LNB itself. So this is why they have this particular design here. So this is, in a typical circumstance then, this is a 110 centimeter smart satellite dish. And in ordinary circumstances we simply have the arm coming out from the dish, and we have a holder here for the LNB which simply holds the LNB in position. What I'm going to do on this particular thing is I'm going to pull off this LNB holder. We're simply going to mount this LNB directly in like this, okay? So that's how it'll slide in. So we slide in the thing like this. You sometimes might need a small tap of a hammer. In this particular case it slid in quite neatly. And what we do is we simply push a bolt across and screw it into the far side, and this lets us hold the LNB holder securely in position. Now, the only tool that's not provided with this that we might possibly need would be a Phillips screwdriver. So I have a Phillips screwdriver here, and what I'm actually going to do is I'm simply going to pick one of these LNB holders here. I'll pick the one on the extreme outside here. What I'll do is I'll simply loosen off the nuts here. Now, because this has quite long bolts on it, I found it's quite advantageous because you don't need to take off both bolts. You can simply unscrew one bolt here, as long as the other bolt is quite loosened off. And what we can do then is we can simply take a single LNB, or in this case I'm actually just going to take a 4-way LNB. We run a cable in here, and what we do now is we come along, we just put this bolt back through, we run a nut underneath, which we've done now. In retrospect here, it probably would be advisable to do this assembly with the adding on the LNBs and all the rest of it before you're working off a dish, particularly if you're doing all this work on top of a ladder. Probably the advantages of having as much assembly work done before we go up onto high level is probably quite obvious to everybody. So we just screw this in here. So this will allow us to lock this into position now. And that's it, that's LNB there. It's locked quite tightly on that side. And we'll just repeat the process on the LNB holder on the far side and lock this LNB in. Now, we may make a decision that the LNBs are not quite exactly at the orientation that we're hoping for. So what we have here then is we have a holder here at the front. We have a holder at the back that we can adjust the height of the LNB. So we can twist this here. We can actually slide this arm up and down. But in general, we probably want it more or less on a straight line. And on the front, we have an adjustment here, which I'll just show you here. And we use exactly the same Allen key here to loosen off this attachment. And this will allow us to slide this LNB holder down along the arm to a new location. So I'll just loosen it out a little bit more. So we slide it out to here, and then we can simply use this to lock it into position again. So that's it. So we can repeat the process for the LNBs on the far side. So that would be it. So we'd simply line up the LNBs to whatever angle we want, and then we would use a satellite meter and we'll align each of the LNBs in turn to the various different satellites that we want, and we take a cable off each one of them as I indicated earlier, run it to a DiSEC switch and do it. So it's up to yourself. You can use this, but obviously you'll only use this if you're going to use more than one LNB, but it gives you an option of 2, 3 or 4 LNBs off a single satellite dish. So hopefully that you've gotten a good understanding of how and why you'd use this particular LNB holder and the basic installation steps on it.